The Speedrun Cup sees 8 teams. Verzik enters, captained by Rills, OzTob, captained by Demon Butler, Step Brothers, captained by Nashi, Shadow Raid Legends, captained by Solo Mission, Cthulhu Box Theory, captained by Hi-Yo, Any Glances, captained by Puggin, Nerds with Attitude, captained by Skidler, and Team Schleem, captained by Jamplex, take each other on in 1v1 battles, picking between bosses such as Zulrah, Vorkar, Jad, Zuck, Gauntlet, Chambers of Xeric, Nightmare, and the Theater of Blood to see which team has what it takes to be the best speedrunning group of old school RuneScape. For the round of 8, each team picks one boss they wish to run, and both teams then run those 2 bosses, with the fastest time taking out the point for that game. If the score is 1-1, the teams will run a Theater of Blood for a tiebreaker. For the round of 4, it's a best of 5, so each team will select 2 bosses. And for the grand final, all but one boss is chosen by the teams collectively and will be run in a best of 7. With a $2,000 prize pool, the winning team is going to take home $1,200, with second and third getting $600 and $200 respectively. The round of 8 will be streamed live at twitch.tv/evscape on the 28th of August starting at 12 PM GMT. The semi-finals will be streamed on the 29th of August starting at 12 PM GMT, and the grand final will be streamed on the 30th of August starting at 12 PM GMT. Before we do actually jump into the action, I have to say a massive thank you to today's sponsor, guys. If you like seeing events like this, sponsors like the one on today's video massively help out with events like this. With the prize pools, a $2,000 prize pool on this one, we have to take sponsors to cover that because, believe it or not, I can't afford it out of my own pocket. So a massive, massive thank you to today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. Now, I think it's no secret that especially in this day and age, you can't put a price on internet safety. That being said, from the low price of $6.67 a month, you can get ExpressVPN. I've personally been using ExpressVPN for over 3 months now, and not only does it enhance your internet security, it also helps you do other things. For instance, you can use ExpressVPN to change your location and access other content not available in your country, such as Breaking Bad in the UK. But my favorite thing to do with ExpressVPN is get out of going to dinner with my mother-in-law. All I have to do is go into ExpressVPN, change my location to England, and my girlfriend is none the wiser. Hey, sweetie, how you going?
Honey, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, listen, I'm actually calling with some pretty bad news. I'm not going to be able to make it to your mum's birthday dinner tomorrow night. There was an emergency meeting called. I'm actually in England right now.
You're in England?
Yeah. If you check my location at the moment, you'll be able to see that it's actually in England, you know?
Don't need to check that map. I can literally see the background of your apartment in the video.
What? Oh, no. See, I'm in England.
Jake, I know you're not in England. I know you're in your apartment. I'm not falling for your stupid VPN shit again. Make sure you're at dinner tomorrow night.
Listen, the connection's really bad. I can't. Bye. Find out how to get ExpressVPN for 3 months for free by clicking on the link in the description, expressvpn.com/evscape. Thanks again to ExpressVPN for sponsoring today's video. Oh my god, look at her! Does she want to be in the ad? Oh, sweetheart. Do you use ExpressVPN, Cleo? So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's the intro. Hopefully you guys understand what's going on here. Welcome to the YouTube only cast. I am pre-recording this before the live stream so that I can get the video out just after we cast this one on the stream. So if you're watching this just after it comes out, maybe even 5 hours after it comes out, we are live over on twitch.tv/evscape. I'd love to see you guys in the chat. So if you enjoy this video, make sure you jump on over and catch the rest of the action. We are taking a look at the first match in the quarterfinals here. It's going to be the Verzik Inters, captained by Rills, up against the Shadow Raid Legends, captained by Solo Mission. Taking a quick look at the boss draft before we go ahead and get into the runs. As we said in the intro, each team is going to be able to ban one boss. We can see here that the Verzik Inters have decided to ban the Gauntlet, and the Shadow Raid Legends have decided to ban the Inferno, specifically banning the Inferno because of the team member Shawnee on the Verzik Inters, a very, very competent Inferno runner, very good speed runner in the Inferno. So taking that opportunity to ban the Inferno so they don't have to run it up against him. Moving on to the picks, we see the Chambers of Verzik from the Verzik Inters. A couple of the team members of the Verzik Inters do actually currently have the world record for, I believe, the 7-man Chambers of Verzik, so very well versed in there. And they're going to go ahead and take that pick because as far as they're concerned, I'm sure it's an easy win for them there. They are much more experienced in the Chambers of Verzik than the other team. That being said, you have to take into consideration they've got a cold one and Rice Cup over on the other team. Rice Cup, the solo raid specialist, of course, those skills from the solo raids are going to go ahead and transfer over into these team raids as well. So we could be seeing a close match in the Chambers of Verzik. The pick for the Shadow Raid Legends being the Nightmare. Once again, Rice Cup spending a lot of time at the Nightmare on his Iron Man. A bit of a PVM specialist, not too much of a speed runner though. That might come back to haunt them. Pardon the pun about the Nightmare, but the pick nonetheless. They must think they have an advantage at the Nightmare, and we'll hopefully see those guys take that advantage and run with it. And of course, if it does come down to a 1-1, the decision will be made in the Theater of Blood. The tiebreaker will be the TOB. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, Chambers of Verzik, Nightmare, and Verzik Inters versus the Shadow Raid Legends. Let's go ahead and jump on into the action. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, we are here with the round of 8 of the Speed Run Cup. This is the first match. We have the Verzik Inters up against Shadow Raid Legends. Shadow Raid Legends being Solo Mission's team, and Verzik Inters being captained by Reels. First matchup we have here is the Chambers of Verzik, and we're going to go ahead and jump straight on into it. As we can see, the boys are standing just outside the raid, ready to get into it. So for the Shadow Raid Legends today, we have Rice Cup running the Chambers of Verzik, as well as Ultimate Iron Man Verf on Solo Mission's account. And we also have a cold one. 3 boys that are very, very well versed in the land of PVM. Not really known as massive speed runners apart from a cold one here, but they definitely can hold their own on the streets here. The boys have gone and pre-scouted themselves a VTV Crope, as known in the community, a Vasa Tecton Vespula. This is the world record rotation, so obviously if you're going for a speed run, you're gonna have to go ahead and get that world record rotation in. Coming into Vasa, and they hit the Vengers, all 3 of them 80 damage each, which is going to stack up for 60 damage a pop on Vasa there, and getting some very decent hits going over here. If we move over to Ultimate Iron Man Verf's perspective, they managed to get Vasa down to 72 hit points before it goes to the Crystal. A little bit unfortunate there not to actually finish off the boss, but straight after the Crystal, only a couple of hits and it goes down. I wonder if the boys are going to go ahead and grab the potions here from Vasa. Looks like Verf is going to go ahead and pick up the brew and drop it there over to Rice Cup, who's going to pick it up. No, he's not. He's an Iron Man. He's actually playing on his Iron Man account here, so he's not going to be able to pick up that potion, but it looks like a cold one over here has picked that one up for him anyway. Coming up to rope. Now, if you're not aware, in speed runs, a lot of people opt to go for the rope skip. So what they're going to do here, as you can see, a cold one has tagged the Rangers. Verf has tagged one of the Majors, and you see Rice Cup here is going to go ahead and drop that crystal over to Verf to pick up with the telekinetic grab, and they're just going to open the door, everything dies, and they don't have to worry about it. So the boys looking pretty good with their pace here. 2 minutes coming out of rope, about to go into Tecton. Here in Tecton, Yeah, that is 2 hammer hits on the first one and 3 hammer hits on the second one. Interesting not to see the boys bringing in a BGS here. A lot of teams opting to bring a BGS in for Tecton just to get the defense completely to 0, but I don't think that's going to matter here. They managed to get the 1 Anvil Tecton regardless. You love to see things like that happening in a speed run, and it looks as though, yep, Rice Cup did manage to get the drop there, so he's going to pick up that overload, which is very handy considering he is, in fact, an Iron Man. And if he wasn't to pick up that drop, they might have been in a bit of a pickle there, not having the overload for the Iron Man going into Ulm. Coming into Vespula here, again, strategies for speedrunning a little bit different to your regular raid. Not so different, in fact, though, but they're going to take down the Abyssal Portal instead of taking down the boss here. As soon as the Abyssal Portal dies, see you later to the boss. Moving over to a Cold One's perspective here, what they do is just have their Redemption Prayer on. Every single time they go below 10 hit points, that Redemption is going to proc. They get 30 hit points back and they don't have to eat any food, which means they don't have to sacrifice any DPS while they're killing the boss. Once again, looks as though they're going to pick the potions up here. Rice Cup did manage to get the drop as well. Vespula being a shared boss, so everyone gets the drop. And he manages to give himself an extra brew there going into Ulm. It looks as though they've missed 1 hit here already. If we go over to a cold one over here, they've left Ultimate Iron Man Verf outside the room. I think they've said, listen, Verf, all right, we know you're not very good at puzzles. We're going to need you to stay outside for this one. So missing 1 hit here in the crab room, 1 rotation, which isn't too bad. Still pretty speedy from the boys here. And if Rice Cup can get into position here, yeah, it looks like they're going to get the mage one done. And because they actually smashed the crab, they're not going to move up. A lot of teams are opting to move up closer to the black crystal there so that it goes a little bit quicker. But the lads here taking the safe route. The Shadow Raid Legends taking the safe route there and just getting the crystal done, guaranteed, rather than trying to save a little bit of extra time, which is fair enough. No boulder coming into the last scav room here, and they're going to be running around into the Ulm room. Let's see the hammer specs on the first phase here. That is 3 hammers on the first phase. You absolutely love to see that. You really can't ask for anything more. Once again, a little strange not to see any of the contestants here bringing in a BGS. You often see a lot of teams bring in a BGS just to get 2 hammer specs down and then throw 1 BGS in to get the hand or Tecton or whatever boss you're fighting down to 0 defense. The Dragon Warhammer are taking off 30% of the defense level rather than taking off a set amount as the BGS does. The BGS will take off the defense level of whatever you hit rather than 30%. So using BGS for the last hit seems to be optimal in these runs, but interesting to see not brought by the Shadow Raid Legends here. This mage hand could not be going down quicker. This is absolutely ridiculous. And you're going to see these boys instantly switch into their melee as soon as this dies and start scything that hand down. And hitting 3 Dragon Warhammers, you can imagine this hand is going to be going down quicker than a nice lady on a Saturday night after the club, let me tell you. Nice little walk here from Verf, once again playing on solo missions account. A little bit confusing here for the viewers, but Verf being an ultimate Iron Man, he doesn't exactly have a main account that he can jump on and run these raids with all of the items that you have to get from quests these days, ferocious gloves, etc. Once again, just taking down this mage hand really quickly, and with the introduction of the Sanguinesti stuff, with the Theatre of Blood, things like this have become a lot easier for players to complete. Back when they just had the regular Trident, they'd run out of hit points, and guess what? When you run out of hit points, it's gone. But with the Sanguinesti staff, healing the player for, I believe, 50% of what you hit, 1 in 6 hits, you're going to go ahead and heal a lot of hit points there. Oh, Rice Cup a bit slow on his switches coming out of the mage hand there. Actually maging the melee. Not the best effort from him there, but you know, in a high pressure situation like this, you can't expect everyone to be Perfect with their clicks every single time. Interesting as well that Rice Cup has brought in the Inquisitor's set. However, opting not to use the full Inquisitor's set on Crush with the Scythe and going with the Nature's Not face helm. The face guard giving an extra strength bonus over the Inquisitor's helm, but the Inquisitor helm giving the set bonus of a damage and accuracy boost. I haven't personally run the numbers there, but Rice Cup being a very smart man, I'm going to assume he knows what he's doing. 3 hammers again. The RNG on these hands has been absolutely incredible from the Shadow Raid Legends here. Their Warhammers are on crack, for lack of a better term. Supplies looking still pretty good. 1.5 brews for Rice Cup there. 1.5 brews for a cold one. For Verf, and 4 brews for a cold one. Very well versed in the art of the raid, a cold one, and hasn't even used. He's used 1 dose of brew for this entire arm. So you can definitely see the skill difference between the insides of the team, but the boys working very, very well together. Verf finally remembering to get his Brimstone ring on there. And are they going to get burnt? No. As you can see, the boys, they're taking 2 steps apart with that burn so that they don't accidentally burn each other. Verf is having a nightmare here. This is not the Ashy Harmer. This is Ulm Verf. You are struggling, my friend. And he's gone ahead and copped the acid as well. Oh, no, this isn't good. And he is messing it up for the rest of his team here if he doesn't manage to run the head properly. Looks like he's missed this one as well. He's going to take a hit. Everyone's going to have to stay in the middle to move that head back. And Verf is currently out of food. Luckily enough, like I said, a cold one has gone ahead and dropped that raid potion on the ground in the middle of the Olm room there. So Verf can pick it up. Should be fine with that amount of food. Hopefully they can manage to kill the mage and the melee hand here at the same time. Surprised not to see someone jump off the mage hand and finish off the melee hand while the other 2 were finishing it. And they're going to get ports here right at the end of the last phase as well. And now we should just see them run the head, take this to the hole. They've got 11:55 on the clock going into head phase. 11:55 going into head phase. Looking like probably a 13-minute here with decent RNG. And oh my god, Verse Tebow is going nuclear. Look at these XP drops. 378. He's just gone ahead and hit a 71 there. Another 80 coming in for a 15. A 420. Okay, I'm sorry. Where has this man gotten his twisted bow from? Because wherever he got it from, I need to get it as well. Holy shit, his twisted bow is going insane. They were looking on pace for a 13-minute raid there, and they've managed to smash a 12:34. Shadow Raid Legends coming in with a 12:34 Chambers of Xeric. What a way to start off the speedrun cup there. So a 12:34 from the Shadow Raid Legends. We're going to go ahead and see what their opponents have in store as well. I do believe they have gone ahead and scouted a VTV Crope as well. We have Reels 2 here, the captain of the team. We also have Fenra, and we also have... There it is, Kandarin. What a sick name. I wish I could get a name like that in RuneScape. As you see the boys running through here, chucking their melee prayers on, coming past the scavengers. They don't want to lose their vengeance as they launch in here. Vasa being the first room. Is it Vasa first room? No, it isn't. It's actually going to be a Tecton Vasa Guardians they've opted for here. Not the best rotation, certainly still one that can be done fast enough. You'll see a different strategy here for luring Tecton than you did for the other team. One person going to lure, and then the other 2 can go straight in and start hitting Tecton, rather than having to wait for Tecton to aggro the person that aggroed it. It will always go for the person that woke it up. So the person that woke it up can run out of range, and everyone else can hit it. And look at this. They're going to get the 1 Anvil Tecton as well. All the vengeance is coming in, and we see a BGS from the Verzik Inters here, which, as I said, we did not see from the Shadow Raid Legends. So a leg up on the competition, I would say, already having that BGS in here. So coming into Vassar, let's go ahead and see what the boys have got in store. Hopefully they can get the Venge off. Kander in here, not, oh my god. He's having a nightmare. He's got the solo mission shakes going. Oh my god, and he's taken the death on Vassar. Didn't even get the vengeance off before he died. That is a disaster for the Verzik Inters here. Coming into the first crystal, as we remember, the Shadow Raid Legends were 70 hit points going into the first crystal, and Verzik Inters are sitting here on 450. This is not looking good at all. They've got a 1234 to beat. Oh no, Reels with the switches. The man is quick on the sticks here, but I mean, until Kandarin gets back, it's not looking good for them at all. Vengeance is coming in. They can get Vengeances off on the flying rocks here. Obviously, the best thing to do is get the Vengeance off at the start, but take any little damage you can get, and there we go. Kandarin is back. He's ready to rumble, and they're taking down the crystal. Hopefully, they can manage to get it after this crystal here. If they don't get it after this crystal here, they are not going to be happy. Is this going to be a teleport? Did the crystal... I think it is. No, it's not going to be a teleport. Very lucky then not to get a teleport. If they get a teleport, that's a big time waste. And they're definitely going to have to take the potions from Vassar here. Especially with that disaster from Kandarin to start it off. Looking like the nerves may have gotten to him in the first round here of the Speed Run Cup. As we see coming into Tightrope here, as expected, there's going to be a rope skip. And same as the last time, they're just going to aggro both the rangers, one of the mages, and there should be... No, they're actually not going to go for the telekinetic grab here. I do believe it is a little bit slower not to go for the telekinetic grab. I guess it's a lot safer not to go for the telekinetic grab, but they're definitely going to lose a few seconds not going for that telekinetic grab on the rope skip. Guardians. Once again, an interesting choice here. I'm not too sure what the thought process behind the Guardians was. I do believe that the Vassar Tecton and Vespula is the fastest raid rotation for a trio, but they're going with the Guardians here. They might have just not wanted to bother checking, waiting, and scouting for a raid, or potentially even paying for one. A lot of high-level speedrunners paying for a Vassar Tecton and Vespula with a Crope these days. I think they're going for about 5 mil. So any noobs in the chat looking for a cheeky little moneymaker, that could be something you could look at. Just go ahead and scout yourself a Vassar Tecton Vespula Crope and try and sell it off to a high-tier PVMer. Okay, coming into Crabs here. Can they get this in the 4-stack? And they're going to take the damage here. Interesting strategy, a very good strategy there from Rails. He just takes the damage from the first orb there to make the new orb come out a lot quicker. And it looks like they are set up for the 4-stack here. 1, 2, do they get the second one? The second one is in place. Will he get back in time? Kandarin running across here, needs that crab to get into place, and he's absolutely nailed it. They are going to run up here, once again, taking the riskiest strat that wasn't taken by the other team. And look at that. Perfect. Perfect execution from the Verzik Inters here in that crab room. And that is just about as fast as you're going to get from a crab room. You can't expect much more than that. I believe that is actually tick perfect crabs from the boys there. And that is the last room. They are going to be going into Ulm. Let's see if the RNG prevails for the boys here and they can get some specs off on this Ulm hand. Let's have a look here. 2 specs with the Dragon Warhammer. Now we need to watch Fenrir here. He is going to be coming in with that BGS. I'm not sure when he is going to be coming in with that BGS, but we need to keep an eye on how hard he hits with that BGS when he decides to. The Primordial's coming off here for Reels. Obviously, you want to get that massive mage bonus that comes from taking the Primordials off. I believe it's a +5 not wearing them, but you certainly want to have them back on when you go for the melee hand. The melee hand back up. We should see Fenrir here going for that BGS very soon. Here it goes. And that's a 5. That is disappointing. You do not like to see that from a BGS, especially after 2 Dragon Warhammers. Oh, the 5 not coming in. Oh, and Reels is being caught by an electricity coming across the screen there. Things are not going well for the Inters right now. Anything that could go wrong in this raid is going wrong apart from that crab room. Some might say it's Murphy's Law minus the crabs, but they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to beat the time of the Shadow Raid Legends, because that was a very, very quick time. Reels here, risking a bit of hit points. He's finally decided to eat up. This is definitely not a position you want to be risking hit points, especially in a speed run where you only get one opportunity. They don't get to rerun these runs, guys, so they go in, you know, the speed runners regularly can just go into a run. If they fuck it up, if they don't get the best time, they can go straight back in, do another raid, but not in the cup, not in the speed run cup. They get one opportunity, as Eminem said, one shot, one opportunity. Only one Dragon Warhammer spec here as well. The RNG not permitting for the Verzik Inters here. The RNG for the Shadow Raid Legends much better. And that's just the thing with RuneScape. RNG is part of the game and something that you need to take into consideration, and something that can actually ruin a run. Sometimes you just do everything absolutely perfectly and there's nothing you can do. RNG just gets in the way and, for lack of a better term, dicks you over. Running the mage hand here, I will never not be mesmerized by 3 players running the mage hand in perfect unison. How good does this look? They're doing the solo mage hand method, which basically means they're not going to take any damage. And with that Sanguinesti staff, not only are they not going to take any damage, they're also going to heal back up. And we see here Fenrir jumping back onto the melee hand a little bit early there, getting ports, not too bad, no life lost there, so no problems at all. Didn't actually happen to catch the BGS from Fenrir there. Not sure how big it was. I do believe I caught out the side of my eye that he did hit. So it's going to be some sort of defense reduction. Not sure how much, but... Oh, Real's taking a lot of damage here. Not by any fault of his own. Ulm changing up its attacks whenever it decides to see fit. And he's just taking a lot of damage to the dome here. Not looking good for supplies. 3 doses of a brew. He's just picked another one up there for Kandarin. We've got 1 brew over here for Reels, and for Fenrir, we've got, 1 brew and 1 dose. And he's just hit a redemption flick on a falling crystal there with 1 hit point left. A dangerous, dangerous man. That is the RNG we need to see. A 64-65 with the Dragon Warhammers there, and only an 11 BGS. The BGS just not coming in clutch there. I don't know where Fenrir bought his BGS, but I tell you what, that man needs to buy another one. It is not looking good for them there. He's risking his hit points here as well. At 32, and he's just been chanced by Ulm. The hit points are being risked. He's been chanced again. That's 2 hits in a row. Oh my god. Fenrir, please eat up. This is not the time that you want to die in a speed run, cup run. What a disaster it would be for his team if he was to die here on Ulm, losing a lot of time. But luckily, RNG might have not have been there for his BGSs, but they were there. The RNG was there for his hits there, and he manages to survive. Once again, everyone running pretty low on supplies. Fenrir out of brews, completely out of brews with 9 hit points remaining, and no one has a raid brew left. Not a single person has a raid brew in their inventory. There is one on the ground there I've just seen, so Fenrir has managed to pick that one up, and he's going to brew back up. But wow, they are really cutting it close on supplies here. Once again, not really by any fault of their own. A couple of little mistakes here and there, but mainly just getting absolutely smashed on by the auto attacks from Ulm. That is crazy. And we see here, Reels is going to finish off the melee hand. This is something that Shadow Raid Legends didn't do. They didn't jump off early to finish off that melee hand, just for a little bit of a quicker time going into the head phase. They're going into the head phase at 11:50 here. So they're going into head phase quicker than Shadow Raid Legends was going in. They've got 34 seconds to finish this off. 1,200 hit points. Does the T-Bow go in as hard as Verfs did? Oh no. They are noodling and noodling and noodling. And Fenrir here, not on the highest of hit points again. Kandarin not hitting very much. It's not looking good. They've got 14 seconds to finish off half of Olm's health. It looks as though Shadow Raid Legends is going to take the first point here in the Speed Run Cup. Solo Mission captaining his team to a first point here in the Speed Run Cup. This was unexpected. Very unexpected for me. I did not expect a team full of content creators to take on a team. Is that a death? Oh no, that is a death. That is Fenrir going down in the middle of the Olm room. So not only have they not managed to get the head down in time, they actually have had a death on the team. You hate to see it. Oh, it's not looking good for them at all. Reel's coming in with a clutch redemption, and for some reason, the aspect ratio has gone to shit, and they finish up with a 13:07 time in the Chambers of Xeric. So that is going to be 1 point for the Shadow Raid Legends. They're going to take the point down, and that is going to be a 1-0 going into the second boss, which is going to be the Nightmare of Ashihama. The Nightmare of Ashihama. We have the Shadow Raid Legends perspective here. I do believe this was a pick by the Shadow Raid Legends. This was the boss that they decided they wanted to do, and it was a Chambers pick by the Verzik Inters, which means Shadow Raid Legends have taken out the Verzik Inters on their choice of boss, and now they're going into their choice of boss. Hopefully, things are looking good for them, and it might be a swift 2-0 for the Shadow Raid Legends, especially going into the boss that they picked. This is the one they're confident in. We're going to see this one run. Tim Foster here is Ultimate Iron Man Verf. We've got ourselves Rice Cup as well as Solo Mission all in the Nightmare here. These boys all in full Inquisitor. Now, I do have to say there was a gentleman's agreement between the Shadow Raid Legends. Sorry, I'll interrupt myself here. The Husks coming out, and that Dragon Warhammer spec, very, very good. Taking out 3 of the Husks, and just one little swipe here from Rice Cup to take out the last one. As I was saying, there was a gentleman's agreement between the two teams. It was initiated by Solo Mission. He wasn't sure if his team was going to be able to get their hands on some Harmonized Orbs for their runs. So a gentleman's agreement was struck to say that neither team would use Harmonized Orbs in their runs, just to save the hassle of having to get a hold of them. Even though Verzik Inters do have their own Harmonized Orbs, they were ready, raring to go. They kindly said that they wouldn't use Harmonized Orbs in their run, just to save the Shadow Raid Legends the time of having to find someone to lend them a staff for this run. So the times for these boys will be a little bit slower than you might see for the other teams in this run. That's just because they're not using that Harmonized Orb. Rice Cup there with the full twisted. Oh my god, that was almost a full clear with 1 D2H spec there on the Husks. Looking very good from Rice Cup with the D2H. But how good is this man's Iron Man account looking with the full Twisted Ancestral? I love the Twisted Ancestral. Currently missing just 1 piece of the Twisted kit myself. And Solo Mission, the man that plays on the full screen. I don't know how he manages to click so far across the screen playing this large, but hey, each to their own, and I guess that he just he needs to make his screen bigger so he can see. Maybe he's got some problems with his eyes. Coming into Phase 2 here, pretty quick Phase 1, and it looks as though, I believe that is, no, it's not actually. Yeah, it is. It is Rice Cup that is doing the tanking here. I wonder how they have decided. I see. So, for those that are unaware, in the Nightmare, the person with the highest defense bonuses is the person that gets targeted by the boss. So, with all the players being 99 defense in the same gear, they need a way to differentiate who is going to take the tank. And as you can see in the inventories, when they switch to it, they've got a super attack, a super strength, but no super defense potion, and you will see from Mr. Ironbar here, Mr. Rice Cup, that he does have a super combat potion, meaning that his defense level will be a lot higher than the other two, and that means the boss will target him, so he can be the designated tank for the Nightmare here. Decent looking phase 2 coming in. Not too much damage taken. We see a lot of food in the inventory, but also a lot of Guthix Restores. That's something we haven't really talked about yet. The Guthix Restores are 5 hit point healing food here at the Nightmare and any other boss in the game, realistically. 5 hit point healing per dose, and they have 4 doses per cup. And what the purpose of these is, like a brew, you can sip a brew and then go ahead and attack anything straight away. There is no tick delay after eating a brew. Much the same with the Guthix Restore, except the Guthix Restore is not going to reduce your stats. Which means if you've clicked on an Imbued Heart, you've got a super combat. The Guthix Restore is not going to interrupt that. Let's see the hammer on the last phase here coming in from Solo Mission. Is he going to hit the hammer? He hits the hammer. That is very, very good for the last phase here. No problems with the last phase. The last phase is the easiest phase of the Nightmare. How's the supplies looking? Looking pretty good over here for Verv. I did catch a quick glimpse of his inventory there. 2 Guthix Restores and he's full health. That's going to be plenty. Plenty of food here from Solo Mission as well. You gotta wonder if maybe it was a bit of a mistake not bringing some extra switches. Maybe a few extra items to help them along there in this raid. Although you also have to question what exactly those items would be to bring. It looks as though they've pretty much gotten max gear. Nothing else really to put in the inventory, but very surprising to see how much food Solo Mission has here at the end with those Guthix Restores, eating them in between hits so that he doesn't miss any ticks. And it looks like he's going to pull the claws out here. Has anyone else got the claws? Oh, that is a poor claw. And he's scratched as well. Oh, no. Not only has he just hit a 2 with the claws, he scratches afterwards. No one else looks as though they've got spec here. Rice Cup, no spec. And it looks as though, yeah, Verv, no spec either. Coming into the pillar phase, you'll see that the players will actually pull up towards the pillars with the last pillar, because there is actually a delay, as you see, between the animation of the staff and when the hit actually registers on the pillar. So you'll actually see the players pull up to the pillar so that that delay is less. The closer they are to the pillar, the quicker it's going to hit. And that might only save a couple of seconds, but it will save enough time over the long run for it to be worth it. And the Nightmare of Ashihama goes down with absolutely no problems for the Shadow Raid Legends. And they've hit themselves a nice 555. Some Bass for Solo Mission, some Torstals for Rice Cup, and some Torstals for Ultimate Iron Man Verv. So that is a 555 at the Nightmare for the Shadow Raid Legends. A 555 for the Shadow Raid Legends is the time to beat for the Verzik Inters. This one is going to be run by Rills, the captain of the team for the Verzik Inters. We've got Kandarin once again running the Nightmare, same as the Chambers as Eric's. And we're going to see the first appearance from Humble here at the Nightmare. The boys in the exact same gear setup as the other team. So realistically, with the exact same gear setup, it is going to just come down to, number one, the skill level of the players, making sure they don't miss any hits here. Let's have a look at this Dragon two-hander spec. Decent spec. Once again, not as good as Rice Cup spec on the last one. RNG really not the strong suit of the Verzik Inters here. So if RNG is not your strong suit, you got to make up for that with your skill and make sure that you are hitting every single time you can hit the boss. Make sure you're not missing any ticks, and so far it looks as though they're doing a pretty good job of that. Once again, as I mentioned, not going to be seeing any Harmonized Orbs. For those that are unaware, Harmonized Orb will not only take away the tick delay that you normally get from casting magical spells, It will also make you cast those spells 1 tick faster, 4 tick spells with the Harmonized Orb. Very, very powerful magical weapon. But as we said, whilst watching the Shadow Raid Legends perspective, a gentleman's agreement was reached where they decided they wouldn't use them. As you can see here, this is what I was talking about in the last perspective when we were watching the Shadow Raid Legends. We didn't see them pull up to the pillars. We didn't see them get close to those pillars and make sure the pillar goes down as quick as possible. And we're also not seeing the blowpipe. The blowpipe, a very important weapon here for the sleepwalkers. The quicker you can get those sleepwalkers down, the quicker the nightmare is going to get back up. And once again, it might only be a couple of seconds saved, but in these speed runs, there could be only a couple of seconds in it, and every single second counts. Coming into P2 here, that is a big hit for Humble to take a 36 there and a 34 back-to-back. Uh-oh. This is not good. He's going to have to eat an angler here, which is bad. You never want to have to eat your food in the middle of a nightmare phase because that means you are going to have a little delay on your next hit, and you don't want to be missing hits. Especially at a boss like the Nightmare where damage is very, very avoidable. That was a little bit sloppy from Humble there, but hopefully he can bring it back and get off some nice damage. Let's see what he does with the Parasite here. I'm not sure if he's going with the stand under tactic or he's just going to let it come out. Yep, just going to let it come out. Interesting not to see a step under there from either of the parasited players. With the step under, the purpose of that is to step underneath the boss and the parasite spawns under there. Much like if you're underneath the boss, you're not able to hit it. The parasite underneath the boss is not able to heal it. So very interesting not to see that there. As you see, coming into the pillar phase, you'll see the players have their own pillar. Each of the players will pick one pillar each. Kanda there on the southwest. We've got Reels on the southeast and Humble on the northeast. And then once they finish their pillar, they'll just go to the last one, pull up as close as they can, and try and get that pillar down as quick as possible. And there we go. They take it. Coming into the last phase here. There's no timers here. Much like there was in the Chambers of Xeric. There is no timer to let us know how close they are. But I must say, with a few hits missed here and there, a bit of extra damage taken, they are not looking as clean as the Shadow Raid Legends. The Spec coming in here, a couple of claws coming in, and decent damage. And that's a 54th for Rills. Oh my word. He is just going to go ahead and eat the Guthix Restores here, but now he's going to finish up that Angler. Once again, that is something you don't want to see. You don't want to be taking any damage here from the boss that you don't need to take, and a big 54 is not going to be helpful, and he's going to miss a few ticks there. I think they're just going to have to hope for RNG to permit here and hope they get the hits they need. Other than a few extra bits of damage, they're actually looking pretty clean on this kill. Rails on the tank, of course, not super different from not being at the tank here at the Nightmare. Nothing really extra you have to do except on occasion pray melee and hope that you get it on in time like he didn't get before with that big 54. Coming into the pillar phase here, very quick on the sticks was Reels there, not messing about. He's going ahead and get that hit off straight away. Doesn't even get his full mage gear on. Wants to get that hit off. Now, you got to avoid the spores here on the ground. As you can see, they're tagged here by Reels. The spores tagged on the ground. If you hit those spores, that's going to slow down your attacks by 1 tick, as well as make you walk. And he's hit it! Oh my god, he's run into one of the spores. There are 2 of them. Kandarin has run into one of the spores as well. They're both running into the spores, but the Nightmare goes down. Will that be enough for them to take the point? It will. A 5:33, 22 seconds faster than the Shadow Raid Legends. That is going to take it to a 1-1, ladies and gentlemen, in their first match of the first round of the Speedrun Cup. We're actually going to a tiebreaker. I don't believe it. We're going to be going over to the Theatre of Blood for the tiebreaker. 2 matches in the Speedrun Cup. We are at a 1-1 1 currently. The Shadow Raid Legends taking out the Chambers of Xeric, which was quite the upset, to be completely honest. The Verzik enters very, very experienced Chambers of Xeric Raiders, so I was very, very surprised to see the Shadow Raid Legends take out the point there. And then the Nightmare, the pick from the Shadow Raid Legends, and a quote by Solo Mission, he said, "We specifically picked the Nightmare because it's all RNG." And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The RNG was not in their favor tonight. Now that it's 1-1, it's going to go down to a theater of blood for the final point to see who's going to take out the quarterfinal here, the round of 8. Verzik enters or Shadow Raid Legends. Let's get back into the action. The Theater of Blood, which is going to be the tiebreaker for every team. If it goes to a tiebreaker, it's always going to be the Theater of Blood. This one going to be run by Fenra, Humble, and Reels for the Verzik Inters. As you can see, a pretty standard trio setup here. Any special weapons we need to take a look at? We've got a BGS here for Humble. Good to see. And we've got a Swift Blade here for Fenrir, which means he is going to be meleeing in the Nilo room. And it looks as though Reels is going to be maging in the Nilo room. Decent hits here from the BGSs and the Dragon Warhammers. So things are looking pretty good for Maiden. I'm going to go ahead and assume she is currently on 0 defense, which is great. That is exactly what you want to see. Now, in this run, you're going to see that if there is a 1 spawn on the north side, 1 spawn being the first crab that spawns on the north side, rather than freezing it as you would regularly see in your everyday top run, in a speed run, they're just going to go ahead and blow pipe the 1 and 2 spawns down as quick as they can, rather than having to freeze it. Get back on the boss as quickly as humanly possible. As you see here, Reels on the freeze. Oh no, this is not good. He's decided to freeze one of the blood spawns rather than going for the crab. He didn't think it was coming out as it did, and he's missed the 1 spawn on the south side. Not the best there, but not the worst either. The 1 spawn oftentimes getting through anyway, just so he can catch the rest of them. But once he catches the rest of them, they all clump up, and a chin comes in from, I believe, either Fenra or, yeah, it's Humble there with the chins and chinning that stack down. No 1 spawn at all on the north side here for the Verzik Inters, and it looks like going to stack them up. 23% on the boss, and yeah, it looks like they're not going to go for a crab skip here. Crab skip being when they just decide to kill the boss rather than killing the crabs on the last spawn there, the 30%ers. And to be honest, I think with those hits, if they decided that they were going to go for it, they might have been able to get it. But a 158 Maiden coming into Bloat. Now, we see some crazy strategies in speed runs at Bloat. However, you have to remember, in the Speedrun Cup, they get 1 chance at the TOB. If they die, if the team wipes, that's an automatic loss. It doesn't matter what time the other team gets. If your team wipes, you lose. That being said, if both teams wipe, then they get a rerun. But I don't think we're going to see any crazy strategies during the Speedrun Cup. Things like using P-necks at Bloat, people staying for extra hits at the end of the Bloat phase, getting stomped deliberately so they can get an extra hit in. I think we're going to see a lot of playing it safe while still trying to be as fast as possible, but not being too crazy. Bloat goes down. It looks as though we're going to get about a 45, yeah, 40. Wow, okay, 40% first down here at Bloat. Very, very good from the Inters here. You'll oftentimes see high 40s, even sometimes in the low 50s at the first down at Bloat. Very, very rarely will you see it actually get into the 30s here on the first down. So very, very good damage on the first one. Fenra copping a hand. So a little bit of time wasted there, but not too much. And it looks like they're going to be making quick work of the Pestilent Bloat here on the second down. Are they going to be making quick work? That is the question. They do. They do make quick work of the Pestilent Bloat on the second down. Now, having a look at Reels' perspective here on the Mage. No hat switch from the Major here. Interesting to see. I imagine that the hat switch is probably not worth it if he's not taking it in here, but everything else is looking good. You're going to see him switch between melee and the Mage here on the Nihilacast room. Moving over to the perspective of the Ranger here. Chins coming in. You love to see the chins getting flown in here from the Ranger and things just dying super quick. Chin's being able to take out more than one minion at the same time. And if we look here, the perspective of the melee out, once again, Scythe being able to take out more than one minion at the same time. And the Swift Blade. Those that don't know, the Swift Blade, a reward from the Last Man Standing minigame. Worth quite a bit of money on the Grand Exchange at one point. Not too sure what it's worth now that LMS is being absolutely camped by Iron Men for their rune arrows. But the Swift Blade is a 3-tick weapon with no bonuses apart from accuracy buffs. I don't believe it has any strength bonus. So it's a 3-tick weapon, one-handed. You can hit very, very fast, especially in a 3-man. It is worth it to take for the melee out because the crabs have such low hit points. You can punch through them super quick, and that's why the stamina is necessary here. Fenrir getting pretty low health here. He's on 17 hit points. One explosion is going to do him in. Decides that he's going to eat, and that is a very, very smart move from the man. One left here. One left. And it's a Scythe from Reels rather than getting out his blowpipe and taking that one out. Does he even have a blowpipe? He doesn't have a blowpipe. So that makes sense as to why you didn't see any blowpipes there. Fenrir here going to be going for the BGS. He hits a 7. Not the biggest BGS, but the other two going for the claws into the Chally. Looking good so far. With the range rotation after the melee and now onto the Mage. Not the best. Reels' inventory is in absolute shambles. I don't even think he knows where half his stuff is right now. And this is something that I personally have experienced quite a bit in the Nilo room. You get one of the switches done and then all of a sudden everything is lost in your inventory. It looks as though he's sorted it out now, which is great to see. You love to see him getting back into the swing of things. And the switches here, absolutely mental. These guys doing, 2 to 3 ticks, 7 to 8 ways, switching between their gear to get maximum DPS on the boss. Obviously, there's going to be a few people in the chat that say, hey, that's not that impressive. I do that all the time. But I guarantee there's a few noobs in chat watching going, holy shit, I can't believe this man can switch so fast. And they take down the Nilo boss there. Watching this back, we can see that they are doing quite a bit of damage. Didn't actually manage to catch how many hammers they hit there. I was too busy talking about myself watching. But it looks as though they hit a few hammers and are looking pretty good here. 66% they're going to go over to the maze. And who is chosen here? Let's have a look. Sodazeg has chosen Humble. And look how quickly he just runs through this maze. Doesn't even take a second to think about it. And the guys are following along as quick as they possibly can. And they're getting out of that maze like there is no tomorrow. Hammer here coming in from Reels. And he does hit that hammer. Was there a hammer from... Yes, there was a hammer from Humble. And it looked as though he hit the hammer as well. So 2 hammers on the second phase as well. You love to see that many hammers on Sodaseg. Sodaseg with massive, massive defense. And it can make or break a run whether or not you actually hit a hammer here on Sod. The big ball coming out. Now, this big ball is going to do 115 damage to one person if they decide to tank it on their own. But every single person that gets next to the ball is going to make that damage a little bit less. Who's in this time? We see that Fenrir is in this time. Once again, not even taking a second to think about it. A little bit actually slow there coming out of the third tile to get that started. I guess he was just waiting for his team to get in position. They're in their communications, in their Discord call, probably letting him know that they weren't quite ready. And Reels, unfortunately, misses his Dragon Warhammer here. Interesting not to see too many Vengeance coming here. As I say that, Fenrir hits a Vengeance on one of the Soat hits. Vengeance playing a massive, massive part in these runs. You want to be hitting as many Vengeances as you can, because after every room in the Theatre of Blood, you get all of your hit points back. So you might as well use every single hit point you have to deal damage back to the boss with Vengeance. Vengeance obviously hitting back 75% of damage dealt by a boss to you, dealing it back to them, 75% worth. There's a 1 from Reels, and that's going to be a 1 on the boss. The big ball coming in, and Humble manages to survive. It looks as though he might have been on 1 hit point there. Very, very lucky to survive on the 1 hit point, although it wouldn't have mattered too much coming out the back end of Soap. Let's see how quick they are at the chest here, guys. They're going to need about 2-3 restores, and the rest improves. And very, very quick from Reels there. A little bit slow from Humble coming through, but it doesn't look like it wasted that too much time, considering his teammates were already at the door. Now, Zarpus here, you're going to see some crazy strategies. I know back when TOB first came out, and people were trying to figure Zarpus out, it was always below pipe or twisted bow in the corner of the room. But since then, people have discovered that Scythe is actually the best damage per second here. That being said, Zarpus is going to be shooting those toxic blobs at you as you try and hit it. So you're going to see some crazy, crazy moves from the Verzik Inters here with the Zarpus room. You're going to see them moving in and out from the boss, getting Scythe hits, but also making sure they avoid getting hit by those toxic blobs. Now, there's 2 different methods, I believe, for scything the Zarpus boss. That is the 4-tick scythe and the 5-tick scythe. I'm not even going to pretend like I've got any idea what those mean. I just heard a cold one say it once, and he is a very good PVMer, so I'm going to take his word for it. Let's see what the boys go for here. I do know what they look like, although I don't know what the difference is. We'll see what we go for. That is a 1 Dragon Warhammer, 2 Dragon Warhammers, and a decent BGS from Fenrir, so things are looking good here. It looks as though they are going for the 5-tick scythe, so maximum DPS from the Verzik Inters here. You're going to see those redemptions coming up, because with the 5-tick method, they do actually take a little bit of extra damage. 4-tick scything, they're going to take no damage, but with the 5-tick, they will be getting hit on every 4th hit, I believe, from the scythe. Once again, I am just speculating here. I am not a high-tier speed-running PVMer, simply just a big fan of it. And look how majestic this is. Just perfect timing with the scythe here, doing mad damage. Humble here on massive hit points. He is not taking too much damage at all. I guess you could say this man knows what he's doing when it comes to walking the Zarpus with the scythe. 1 person in the raid, you can see that is Reels with the Serp helm on. That is just simply so that he is the person that scythes the purple crab on Verzik. Other than that, absolute maximum strength for the other players in the raid. And there's the Screech. Here's where it becomes dangerous, because they want to get maximum DPS. They don't want to miss any hits here, but if they miss time even one of their hits and swipe Zarpus with their scythe, guess what? You are taking 380s to the dome, and last time I checked, players don't have 240 hit points, so that is going to be a swift 1 hit if they mess up the timing even once here. Low hit points from Zarpus. Should see a couple of challies from the boys. Crystal Hellbirds coming in. Yep, and there we go. Finishing it off, and finishing it off quickly. 1 brew on the ground. Someone is going to have to pick up that staff. Looks as though Fenrir's got the staff, and they're going to go through and get this started as quickly as possible. Once again, in your regular TOB runs, you might see people take a few seconds here, drop a few potions, and get ready, but not in these runs. They need to get in, get it done, and get started as quick as possible. Another difference you might see here to your regular TOB runs is you will see that players will do 1 hit with the Dawnbringer, then drop it, then 1 hit with the Dawnbringer, and then drop it, and drop it at the boss, so that everyone is going to manage to get both of their Dawnbringer specs off as quickly as possible. As you can see, everyone sat here on 30 spec. So as soon as that comes back, they're going to be able to finish the boss off. I'm sure some people are questioning in the chat, why don't they just take a big hit here and Vengeance back at the boss? Unfortunately, in P1 and P2 Verzik, Vengeance damage is nulled. So you're not going to be able to take a big old 100 hit from Verzik here and then deal the damage back to the boss. Everything is capped here. Even the Scythe, even the Sanguinesti staff, all of the hits are capped apart from the spec from the Dawnbringer, as you can imagine. And you can see the boys pulling up here. You will see a couple of Avengers maybe go off. Nope, they don't take any damage. The reason they pull up there is because they want to get that last hit off. They've got heaps of brews. They don't need to worry about the damage, especially if they're going to kill the boss. And they just want to get the boss dead one hit quicker. Things are about to get interesting here. This is a time, probably one of the biggest times, apart from the Zarpus Screech phase, where people can die very, very easily. If they're not careful with the crabs, if they're not careful with the bombs, they are going to go down in just a couple of hits. So concentration levels at an all-time high from the Verzik Inters here. Making sure to keep their prayer high, making sure they're potted at all times. They need to be 118 stats if they're going to survive here and get a very fast time at the TOB. Currently, the score is tied up at 1-1. And Reels, he takes a dive there. He's on an airplane. He's an air hostess, as they say. Taking a big dive and a little bit of damage. Manages not to get too caught up in it, though, and staying high health. That is something that you're going to see from these runs as well. A lot of times in speed runs, players will opt not to stick on too high a health just because they want to leave their boosted potions up as long as possible. But I think in these runs, considering if you wipe, you're out, I think that they will be keeping their health relatively high, so that they don't die. The mage prayers go on, which means if they get hit by the bombs, they're going to take 40 plus damage. So they need to be, once again, super concentrated here, not to take any damage. Reels, being the man with the Serp helm, going to sit in the south here and get one hit off on each of the crabs. A really fast Verzik P2, you're going to see them hit the red crabs and only see 2 sets of the red crabs before Verzik goes down. But I can tell you right now, they are going to be getting that third phase, and they're not even going to bother hitting the crab here because they know 6.8%, they can get that absolutely no problem. Once again, Reels taking a dive. This man is catching so many flights tonight, and he hits with a T-po. Oh no, this is a disaster for Reels here. He's taking so many dives, and he's just been vengeanced. Unfortunately, like I said, vengeance damage is nulled. Who is going to get the tank here? There we go. We've got the tank over on Mr. Humble. And this man is well versed in the art of the Theater of Blood. He knows the timing. If you stood next to Verzik as she goes to hit, there is a very, very high chance she's going to melee you. And when she melees you, she melees anybody in her melee distance for quite a bit of damage. You can't actually pray against her melee attack, and it does upwards of 50 damage. I believe it might even hit into the 60s. Coming into the web phase here, you're going to see players stand on the same tile. Yep, there it is. Everyone on the same tile and running around the boss, hopefully catching each other up. Yep, they're going to miss one hit here and then catch up. Everyone hitting the boss, making sure they're getting in maximum damage. You can see still on 118 stats here is Humble. He's going to stay on 118 stats for the rest of the kill. If he drinks a brew, rather than drinking a brew, then a restore, he's going to drink a brew, then he's going to drink a super combat. Opts to go for the Manta Ray here after the purples come out. Once again, very interesting. Like I said, it seems as though you're going to see players opt for the safer route and go for the high hit points rather than going for maximum DPS, just to make sure they're guaranteed to get the kill. And it looks as though he's just going to tank this ball as well. A 67, making sure he gets straight back on the boss, not getting attacked in melee distance of Verzik, and it looks as though these boys are going to take, there it is. There goes the spider boss. Let's have a look at the time in the chat. And that is going to be a 20:57 for the Verzik Inters. As you can see, like I said, a very well-versed man in the Theater of Blood. 2480 KC at TOB. For a 2057, we've got one more run to spectate. That is going to be Shadow Raid Legends at the Theater of Blood for the tiebreaker. Shadow Raid Legends at the Theater of Blood coming in here. We can see it's going to be run by a Cold One, Rice Cup, and Solo Mission. Not seeing Rakesy in this round one. I do believe the man was on holidays when they were running this round one, so didn't see him run in this round. Let's hope the boys can get a victory and we can see a little bit from him in round two. They've got a 2057 to beat. And look how rich this man must be. Solo Mission coming into the Maiden of Sugadinti with no Arvas. What do you need an Arvas for when you've got as much money as this man does? Who needs to save their dragon arrows and their dragon darts? Just get rid of them. The crab's coming out super quick here. That is an amazingly quick P1 at Maiden. 70% coming down. And it looks as though, is that a Cold One? Yeah, a Cold One is catching all the freezers. No, he's not. Is that Rice catching all the freezers? I'm so confused as to who's doing the freezers and who's doing what. But what I am also confused by is the massive disparity in the sizes of everyone's screens. I'm so confused as to why people play on these massive, massive screens. Personally, I'm playing on the tiniest possible fixed screen, you know, really getting that nostalgia. But hey, times are changing and people have bigger screens. Sometimes you just want to see some very, very high graphic RuneScape characters. Coming into the 50s, they do a very good job of cleaning this one up. And it looks as though the 30s are going to be coming out very, very quickly. This could be an incredibly fast maiden time if they manage to get a skip here. And they get one crab going through. Second crabs are frozen, and it looks as though they're going to attempt to skip here. They are going to try and get this crab skip. Will they get it is the question. They need to kill the boss before the crabs get in. They've got that 15-second freeze from the barrage. The Chelly's coming in. Oh, no. That is a disaster. Wow, okay, disaster averted there. That was not looking good where the first crab came in at a 0.9%. You see the boys also hitting their divine potions before the proc comes in for the end of the boss so that they get those extra hit points back. It's just those little tiny things that you're going to see in these runs that could make a big difference going into the rest of the rooms. That extra 10 hit points. You see Solo Mission doesn't have 121. The other two boys do have 121. That's because they hit their divine before the proc came in for the heal. Coming into Bloat here, once again, I don't think we're going to see any crazy strategies. I don't think we're going to see any P-necks. I don't think we're going to see anybody taking too many hits from the Bloat, trying to get as much damage as possible. Bloat, I would say, if I had to hazard a guess as to which room had the most deaths in the Theater of Blood, I would have to say it's Bloat. It has to be Bloat. It's so easy for a team to wipe here in the Bloat room. If one person gets caught up in the flies, once again, that's going to go ahead and spread. It's going to spread like wildfire to the rest of the team. And a Cold One here, actually running around the other side of the Bloat, deciding to get that extra hit in, and somehow has only taken 18 damage, 28 damage. Yep, quick maths, I'm all over it. He's taken 28 damage. Getting that extra hit. He's still on 93 hit points, so relatively safe play, and he's going to get that extra hit in, and that extra hit could mean a lot. As you can see, 45% on the first down from the Shadow Raid Legends. Not as quick as the Verzik enters, like I said. Oftentimes, you're going to see those mid-40s to high 40s first downs. Are they even going to get it here? Oh, no. This is a disaster for the Shadow Raid Legends. Luckily, no death there for Solo Mission. He is going to manage to survive on very low hit points. And a Cold One going in to finish it off there. Not getting a 2 down on their TOB. That is a massive deal. A 2 down saves a lot of time. Oh, and they're also buying from the chest. The first chest they're buying the stamina potions. No! Oh, this is not looking good for the Shadow Raid Legends at the Theater of Blood. No reason to be buying from that first chest there. Absolutely none whatsoever. Simply just get one person to bring a stamina potion in and pot share the rest of the people, and you don't have to stop and wait at that chest. You're going to save some time. We see Solo Mission here taking a few runes out of his rune pouch. I believe that is because a cold one after this room, after he finishes maging in the Nilo, is going to use that magic cape that you see in his inventory to switch on over to the Lunar Spellbook. He's going to pick up those astrals and those mud runes, already paired with the deaths that he's got in his rune pouch, and he's going to be able to cast his own vengeances. Like I was saying, the more damage you can take in the TOB without having to use food, the more damage you can deal back to the bosses with Vengeance. Vengeance is a big, big deal in these runs, and they want to hit as many Vengeances as possible. A decent BGS from him as well. Nylacast boss looking pretty good to start off with. Melee into the range phase. Let's see if they can keep that up. There's the mage straight afterwards. I've jinxed him. I've absolutely jinxed him here. Like I was saying in the last run, the best rotation you can get on the Nilo boss is that range into melee, maximum DPS, and it's not looking good for them here. Rice Cup's inventory is an absolute mess once again. That's just something you have to expect from the Nylacast room. It's just going to happen. And look at these switches, guys. It's just incredible. You know, you watch these PvPers out here pulling off their 4-way one-tick barrages, and you just don't expect that a PVM is going to have those swift clicks that you normally see from the PvP. Maybe not quite as fast in the PVM community, but decently fast clicks nonetheless. Saradome and Brew on the ground. Is someone going to take that? Nope, they're going to leave it there. Oh no, and Rice is going to go back for it. That is a big time loss here. As we can see, we're gonna watch over here from a Cold One's perspective how long he has to wait at this door before he can go in. Every second he waits here is time lost. Look at that. He wasted like 5 or 6 seconds there. And once again, 5 or 6 seconds might not seem like a lot, but in these speed runs, 5 or 6 seconds is an absolute lifetime, and that was just time they did not need to waste there with Rice going back for that brew. Big 40 Vengeance, though, so he might have made up for that 60 seconds with that 40 Vengeance coming in. But imagine if he not wasted those 6 seconds and hit the 40 Vengeance as well. Not too sure on the hammers hit on this first phase, but it's looking pretty slow in terms of damage. Maybe didn't hit the hammers that they were looking for. Although if they didn't hit the hammers they were looking for, I imagine that Rice would have come in and hit his hammer there instead. Let's have a look how quick this maze is going to be. Who's on the maze? It looks like a Cold One. He is waiting for his team, so yeah. Unlike the experienced speedrunners, the content creator team doing me a huge favor and filling in a team slot coming in. Not using the fastest strategies here on the Theatre of Blood. Not the most experienced Theatre of Blood runners. But that being said, holding their own in this speedrun cup. It is currently 1-1. The TOB tiebreaker is going to matter here. And we might see them pull out something miraculous. If the content creator team can come out and pull a victory here, it's going to look good for all YouTubers and Twitch streamers. Let me tell you that. So, you know, myself being a YouTuber and Twitch streamer, I'm hoping they can pull out the victory for the boys. I might be a little biased, but I am rooting for them here and hoping they can pull out a nice 20-56 and win by 1 second. Let's have a look at the hammer spec here from Rice. He does hit, and it looked as though Solo Mission hit his as well. So they are going to melt this last phase. Does a Cold One have any spec left? He's got 30%. So we're going to see a Chelly here pretty soon from a Cold One. He does have that redemption up. He is on 18 hit points and still Divine Super Combat. This man on the PVM sticks is insane. I can't believe it. Unfortunately, the Chelly not hitting there and not killing the boss, so a little bit of time wasted. But with RNG, there's not much you can do but pray. And there they go. Going into Zarpus. Let's see the timing on this chest here. Looking for 3 restores and the rest in brews most likely. Very quick from Rice. He's making up that time that he wasted on the first one. And Solo Mission, the last man in. And only a couple of seconds wasted there buying stuff from the chest. Ideally, they want to get in, Bang, bang, 2 restores, max brews, run through as quickly as possible, not to waste any time. Now we see his solo mission with the Inquisitor's top, Inquisitor's bottom, but the Nater's not face guard. And as we can see, he's got 5 brews in his inventory. I'm not too sure about that decision to bring along the face guard, but not bring along the Inquisitor's helmet. Inquisitor's helmet going to give not only a damage buff, but more importantly, when using the Dragon Warhammer, an accuracy buff when using crush weaponry. Now, coming into Zarpus, I know for a fact that Solo Mission has no idea not only how to do a 4-tick Scythe Walk, but either that or a 5-tick Scythe Walk. This is going to be fun to watch. Let's see how many tiles this man manages to rag. So far, we've got 1. It's a decent tile to rag, though. Not going to be a problem when they're going into that last phase. And not taking too much damage. All things considered, doing pretty well here. Only missing a few hits. Is he going to rag this middle tile here? That could be a disaster if he gets it there. Not a massive disaster, but yep, that is not what you're looking for. You don't want to rag that tile. It is definitely, you can definitely work around it, but one of the tiles you don't want to hit. All things considered, considering this man's probably done this Scythe Walk 1 or 2 times before this speed run, he's looking pretty good. But let's get the masterclass from a cold one over here, the 5-tick Scythe. You will not see this man miss a tick at Zarpus. An absolute weapon on the PVM sticks. I spent quite a bit of time watching this man solo the Theatre of Blood, and he is very, very good at it. Now, will we see a Zarpus Screech swipe from one of the Shadow Raid legends here? Rice Cup sitting on 11 hit points. That's all good, though. That redemption is going to save him. Looks as though he's trying not to take any damage from the floor, although it wouldn't matter if he was to take some damage here. He can just go ahead and restore back up with that redemption. Very slow Zarpus from the Shadow Raid legends here. Obviously, that coming down to the fact that they're not as experienced as the other players in the Theatre of Blood. A big carry from a cold one here, but not the fastest Zarpus going into Verzik at a 13:34 total time, which means they're going to need to get a 6-minute finish here on Verzik, which is entirely possible. I do believe they're actually going into Verzik at a faster time than the other team went in. Faster time than the Verzik enters. Is this going to be a claw spec from... No, it's not. It's a little claw scratch from Mr. Rice Cup here, Mr. Iron Bar. Little claw scratch, you know, just saying, hey, Verzik, you know what? We might be enemies here, but I wouldn't mind giving you a little tickle, seeing what's under that skirt. That was a little weird, and I wish I didn't say it, but hey, we are here now, and we're going to roll with it. 40% after the first specs here, looking pretty good. Someone that has a spec, yep, that is going to be Cold One coming in with a double spec there. 30%, I believe everyone's already used their specs. Yep, a Rice Cup coming in here with the last spec, and Solo Mission going to have a spec after this. It looks like it's going to be a pretty quick first down P1. I wonder if we're going to see the boys pull up on Verzik after this last spec and maybe tank a little bit of damage and get the boss down. The pillar's still up, so they might run back. Solo Mission missing a hit there. Once again, a little bit of a disaster. Solo Mission, massive on the PvP sticks. It looks as though he's not the most experienced man, and they will pull up. He's not the most experienced man on the PVM sticks, but you can imagine that a lot of the little niches from PvP do transfer over to PVM. You can see that... very, very lucky man not to get launched there. Saved by one of his teammates, and I believe that is a Cold One coming in with the Serp Helm. Going to finish off the Purple Crab there. Now, a Cold One playing with fire here. This is something I don't like to see. Now, I know he is very, very, very good at PVM. There is no question about it. This man's abilities far surpass my own, but he has 2.5 restores in his inventory in a speed run. There is no possible way he is going to go through them, and he's deciding not to prey range here. Things can go wrong in a speed run. Everyone makes mistakes, and not having that prey range on, there we go. He finally gets it on here, decides he must have heard me. He must have heard me flaming him out here about not having that prey range on. You know, things can go wrong in speed runs, and rather than taking 40 plus damage from the bomb, I'd much rather take a 20. And once again over here, you can see Rice Cup, plenty of restores in the inventory and just not praying range. I just don't understand. Look at that. Look at that. That could have been a bomb. Oh man, it scares me when these boys don't pray the prayers that they need to pray to stop them from taking maximum damage. Let's go over to a Cold One's perspective over here. 48 hit points. Risking the hit points here. Oh my god. He's just walked directly onto Rice Cup Square, taking a 48 to the dome. This is exactly what I was saying about things that can go wrong in a speed run. Decides not to safe on the hit points, decides not to eat up, takes a 48 headshot, and now they're down to 2 players. Oh no, this is an absolute disaster for the Shadow Raid Legends. I would be very, very surprised if they managed to get the time here, but crazier things have happened. 18% on P2. I think we're going to have to go ahead and say that this is probably lost for the Shadow Raid Legends. The content creator crew. Oh, we really wanted to see Rakesy in that second round. The man's on holidays in the first round, and it looks like he's going to get back to it from his holiday with some bad news. I don't want to say it's impossible, but they would need to have had a very, very good raid prior to this to even come close to getting the time of the Verzik Inters. That death has really, really cost them. A Cold One deciding not to eat up has cost them this run. They certainly had the potential of getting the victory here. I mean, technically they still do, but it's not looking good. Solo Mission about to tank the ball. 74. He still does have 2 brews in his inventory and 1 brew in the middle. That's a melee. That's a 51 to the dome for Rice Cup. Oh no. And he is out of brews on 34 hit points. And he's on his Iron Man account, so he can't pick up the brew off the ground. Another melee from Rice Cup. 31 hit points, down to 28 hit points. The crabs are out. Are they even going to get this kill? Rice Cup pulls out the redemption flick. Respectable move from a respectable gamer. 11 hit points, 5 hit points, no restores. Is he going to take 5? He's actually going to get his claws off here. Oh my god, he survived on 1 hit point. The webs are out. Oh no, Solo Mission. Not experienced enough at the Theater of Blood to know that he should not be running anti-clockwise on the web phase at Verzik, and Rice Cup not able to get any melee damage off there. Still on 2 hit points. Manages to get his claws back off though, so he is looking like he's going to survive till the end. He dies to that mage hit, and Solo Mission, 52 hit points, 1.2% should be... Oh my god. I was about to say it should be no problem, but he has just taken a melee hit on 0.2% Verzik. I don't believe my eyes. They don't even get the completion. In the tiebreaker, in the first round of the Speedrun Cup, we have a wipe at the Theater of Blood. And if you don't remember, a wipe means the time doesn't matter for the other team. It doesn't matter how quickly they completed the raid. That is going to be a point for the Verzik Inters, which means they are going to take out round 1. Verzik Inters moving on to the semi-finals, and unfortunately, Shadow Raid Legends out in round 1. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Verzik Inters taking down the Nightmare in a 5:33, losing the Chambers of Xeric in a 13:07, but completing the Theater of Blood in a 20:57 against the Shadow Raid Legends there with the 12:34 Chambers of Xeric for the win. A 5:55 nightmare for the loss, and a did not finish at the Theater of Blood, which means the Verzik Inters are going to be moving on to the semi-finals. If we go ahead and get the bracket up here, the Inters will be facing off against the winner of Team Schleem versus Any Glances. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you head on over to the Twitch live stream. We are currently live with the next match in the quarterfinals.